Most people believe they already understand Brazil. They think they do because they've seen images, headlines, football matches, carnival parades, beaches filled with sunlight and music. But what if that version of Brazil is not just incomplete? What if it's misleading? What if the country you think you know is only a thin surface, hiding layers of contradictions, conflicts, forgotten histories, and stories so strange that they blur the line between fact and myth? Brazil is not just misunderstood. Brazil is one of the most complex social experiments ever created, and almost no one outside, and even inside, truly sees it. Brazil is not a single story. It is a continent-sized country where radically different realities coexist at the same time. In one region, you'll find hypermodern cities connected to global finance and cutting-edge technology. In another, communities still live according to traditions that predate the modern state itself. Brazil holds indigenous civilizations older than most Western nations, European colonial structures imposed by force, African cultures brought through slavery, and waves of immigration that reshaped its identity again and again. These layers didn't blend peacefully. They collided, overlapped, and never fully resolved. That tension is still alive today. This unresolved tension is what makes Brazil produce so many stories that feel unbelievable to outsiders, political scandals that seem impossible elsewhere, religious movements that grow into national forces, entire cities shaped by myths, fear, hope, and improvisation. In Brazil, reality often feels exaggerated because the country itself was built through extremes, extreme inequality, extreme diversity, extreme contradictions between law and daily life, between what is written and what actually happens. To understand Brazil, you must understand that order and chaos coexist by necessity. Formal rules exist, but so does something Brazilians call jeitinho, a cultural survival mechanism born from living in a system that rarely works as promised. This is not about dishonesty, it is about adaptation. When institutions fail repeatedly, people learn to bend reality just enough to survive. Over time, this behavior stops being an exception and becomes part of the culture itself. This environment is fertile ground for extraordinary stories. It is why Brazil generates legends that spread across continents, like the Chupacabra. Why unexplained events, like the Virginia UFO incident, still divide public opinion decades later. Why historical conflicts such as Canudos or the era of the Cangaço feel closer to epic tragedies than textbook events. In Brazil, myths are not distractions from reality. They are responses to it. They fill the gaps left by silence, inequality, fear, and unanswered questions. The outside world often tries to simplify Brazil because complexity is uncomfortable. It's easier to reduce a country to music, color, and celebration than to confront its deeper contradictions. But simplification has a cost. When you ignore complexity, you misunderstand behavior. When you misunderstand behavior, you misread history. And when you misread history, you fail to see patterns repeating themselves right in front of you. Brazil is not chaotic by accident. It is chaotic because it was formed without closure. Colonization ended without reconciliation. Slavery ended without repair. Dictatorship ended without collective accountability. These unfinished chapters continue to shape how power works, how people relate to authority, and why distrust is deeply embedded in society. Brazil doesn't move forward in straight lines. It circles, adapts, improvises, and sometimes collapses inward before expanding again. This is why Brazil cannot be explained through stereotypes or headlines. It must be explored through stories, stories that reveal how history, culture, belief, and psychology intertwine, stories that show why facts alone are not enough to explain what happens here, and stories that help explain why so many events in Brazil feel surreal, yet are completely real. This channel exists to explore those stories, not to sensationalize them, but to understand them, to go beneath the surface and examine the forces that shaped one of the most fascinating and misunderstood countries on Earth. Brazil is not an exception. It is a preview of what happens when history leaves too many questions unanswered. If you want to understand Brazil beyond the postcard image, if you want to explore the facts, the myths, and the uncomfortable truths, then you're in the right place.